Welcome to Alien Invasion Gaming. My name is Roy, and in this video we'll take a look at gun builds and general strategy for levels 1 through 10. Let's take a look. So before we get into the content, just a note that I do stream on Mixer Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays from 7:30 p.m. to 11 p.m. Central. If you have any questions on Tarkov or want to see some general gameplay, feel free to stop on by. You can also find me on Twitter at Reglar10. Make sure you hit me with a follow there to get notified when I go live. I have put links to both those platforms in the description. When you start a game for the very first time in Tarkov, there are not a lot of weapon options for you. Obviously, you start with a basic loadout, depending upon which version of the game you purchased. But once you burn through those guns, and outside of any guns that you get through an extraction with a scav, your choices from the traders are very limited. Prepper has a couple of guns that you can buy. One is the SKS at 22k. He also has the PP91, and he has the Mosin. And so out of those three guns, my personal recommendation is to take the SKS. It has a good fire rate. The sight isn't that great, and you'll see that I'll have some video gameplay come up. But the gun's not really as important as strategy. And so let's jump into some gameplay, and I'll go over my strategy. So when you start playing Escape from Tarkov, you should, in my mind, have two objectives. One, ruble retention. Money makes the world go round in Tarkov. You need money in order to get more guns, better gear, better ammo, hideout upgrades. Like, just rubles make the world go round. Your second objective should be getting experience. If you're jumping into this game expecting a Call of Duty or Apex Legends or PUBG type experience where you can just jump in and start PvPing like mad, this game is going to disappoint you. The AI scavs, as they're called, are very deadly. The other players are running much better gear than you. They have a lot more experience at the game, and they know much better strategy about the game. So in my mind, what you really want to do is be focusing on learning the game, not so much PvP. And like I said, ruble retention is really, to me, the biggest priority. You can see that in my loadout here, I'm going in with a very basic loadout to conserve money. I have a scav vest. I have a very small packback that I had bought from Ragman. I have a helmet because I still believe that a helmet is very useful because you can get shots to the head and be lucky enough that this helmet will ricochet them off. And then I'm running the SKS that I talked about. And I'm just running the very basic PS ammo that you can buy from Prepper for this gun. All right, let's jump into a raid and let's talk about my strategy here. When you jump into a raid, you should have some objective in mind. And I mean a specific objective, something you'd like to accomplish, not just, hey, I want to make money, or hey, I want to get a bunch of kills, whatever. You should have an objective in mind. And for me, what I'm doing here is I know that I want to try to hit some stashes or some loot locations that are in the map. Now, I'm on customs, and if you are just starting off the game, I would really recommend that you go to the Escape from Tarkov wiki and bring up the maps that are there. And I recommend customs as the first map simply because it's really spread out. I think you can control your encounters better with PMCs and scavs. And it does have some very good loot, particularly what were called secret stashes. And they're basically loot containers in the ground that you can loot, and they just have random contents. Some are very good, some are very bad. Now, because I know customs, I've come up to this hill because I know there are a couple of weapon crates, and I know that there are some other loose loot available. There's also a med box available that I will hit here in a couple minutes. And so at this point, I'm just sucking up everything I run into. And as I pick up more items, as my rig gets full, as my backpack gets full, I will start making decisions about what I keep. Now, for you, you're not necessarily going to know what to keep. And so I would suggest maybe taking a look at, the wiki can give you some hints. The Escape from Tarkov wiki can give you some hints on valuable items. For me, like if you see a paracord, there you see I put a spark plug in my secure container. So paracord, fuel conditioners, which is a green metal tin, condensed milk, very valuable, squash is very valuable, any meds that you can get, very valuable. And so whenever possible, you should put those in your secure container. I put the spark plug in because there's a task that comes up later that requires you to pass in spark plugs. So I can work that for a task. Here I put a laser pointer in, and then I realized that the spark plug was probably worth more to me than those bullets that I had picked up. So I put the spark plug back into my secure container. Here I'm going to hit up the med case. I'm going to find a couple of items. When I put them into my rig, there should be some painkillers, I believe, coming up. So here, I put over, you'll notice that I tagged the bandage 5, I tagged the bandage 6, so I typically put heals on 4, bandage on 5, pain meds on 6, and that way you can quickly access them when you're needing them. So here, I'm going to come along, and I'm looking for scavs that maybe I can pick off. Now, I happen to know, because I run this map quite a bit of time, that there's a scav sort of route here between the rocks next to the med case. And so, when you're listening, or see him, so I see the scav, and so I take a shot right away. And I'm going to take another shot. But here, he got off a shot, and he one-tapped me. And so, welcome to Tarkov. Like, the AI is very deadly. But you'll notice that I didn't wait, and you really need to get into the practice of taking a shot immediately. Like, don't wait for a great shot. Like, as soon as you see a player, or as soon as you see a scav, you want to start taking shots, get those rounds down range, because if you give time for the shot to get set up, 9 times out of 10, the other guy is just going to get you. Particularly if it's an AI scav with a rifle, they're usually very accurate. So here you see I'm selling the spark plug, and I'm going to make a little bit of money here, and then I'm going to sell the laser for a little bit more. And so basically I have made from that raid about the money that I spent on the SKS. And so, from that perspective, I've broken even. Let's jump into another raid. Okay, so, heading back into customs, pretty much the exact same loadout I had, SKS, helmet, backpack, scav vest, that's it. I spawned at the exact same place that I spawned last time. That just happened to be a coincidence. There are multiple spawns, 4 players around the map. So, since I spawned at the same place, and I know that the hilltop is the closest location for loot, and that I'm probably the closest spawn for that loot, I am going to go and hit it again. So, same sort of thing. Go up, get the weapon cases, get the other free loot, just sort of, make sure that we can get as much as possible. Now, that case didn't have anything. That happens sometimes. That's just the way the game works. Ideally, what I'm looking for is, like an AK-74, or, even an M4 would be fantastic. Now, I'm taking that stock because I know it will sell for some money. Putting it in my secure container. You'll notice that I took a car kit, health kit with me, and I left it in my gamma. You should always take heals in with you. The car kit will do both bandaging and healing. The reason I leave it in my car kit is because it's very valuable to you. It's got 220 HP worth of uses. And if you die a lot, it can be very expensive to replace those. I mean, they're not hugely expensive, but it adds up if you die quite a bit. Now here I got a scope. And so the scope is definitely worth more than the heals. And so I moved the heals out of the secure container, and I put it in my backpack. Now, you notice I didn't bring a rig in. If I had brought a rig in with me, then I would have been able to place that in my rig and actually bind it to the key. And I didn't talk about it last time, but in order to bind something to the key for like quick access, or a hotkey access, you just hover over the item and you press the number. So I would hover over that kit. I would either push 4 or 5, depending on what I felt it did more, probably heals. And then in game, I don't need to open up my inventory. I could just press that number and I would get access to it. So here I am doing the exact same thing. I'm looking for scavs. I know they're down there. This time though, I've got, better view. And I hit him once, and this time he ran. He didn't push me. So I'm gonna try to get over him. using these rocks because he's now hiding. And so I'm going to try to peek over the top. I know he's down there somewhere. There he is. Bang, right to the face, and gives me a pretty easy way to loot. So I'm just going to quickly grab his gear. I'm not really going to spend a lot of time. I'm just going to grab it. You'll notice that I'm not stopping to search. And that's important. When you make noise, you do not want to stick around. You want to move, reposition, and then, you know, search the items. Here, I'm going to quickly dive into the bush. I know it makes noise, but it's much less risk than sitting in the open doing searches. I will reload my gun. I will search my bags. I will search the rig, see what I got. Here I am. I'm just moving things out. I'm going to keep the bigger bag. Here, I'm going to move the heels up and bind it into my scav vest since I now have a rig. I will try to consolidate the shotgun shells and move them to single slots so that they're not using up valuable 2-slot items. Just general maintenance that you need to get into the habit of prioritizing when you're playing in a raid. Here, you can see I'm healing, and so now I'm getting set up. I'm going to see what I can find. Now, the one thing I don't like about the SKS, and I think you'll see it here coming up, is when you aim down sights, it uses up quite a bit of your horizon. Now, I know that there are other scavs nearby, and they will come to investigate this, so I'm quietly trying to scope out and see if I can get the drop on a scav that's coming to investigate that kill. Now, the scavs in general are hostile to players. If you play as a scav, though, and you kill a scav, then the aggro is range limited. Like if you're on one part of the map and you kill a scav and you move to the other side of the map, the scav will not aggro on you because they didn't hear the shot, they didn't hear the death. And so just a little tip when you're scavving, that if you do kill a scav and you move a significant distance, you are probably safe from immediate retaliation, unless you take another shot at a bunch of scavs. There I grabbed a chocolate bar off of the body, or it was in my pack, I forget which, and I ate it. And that's a general habit you should get into. It will rebuild up your energy. It will, and if you find a liquid like apple juice or pineapple juice or just water, you should always use those. When you use them in the raid, it helps with some of your passive skills like metabolism, and it also just in general refreshes your hydration and energy, which I haven't spoken about yet, but they are basically counters. They start like at 100 and then come down, and if you run out of energy, then that's bad news. If you run out of hydration, that's also bad news. You can, I think, heal through loss of energy. I'm not sure about hydration, I don't remember, but basically you really want to keep an eye on hydration and energy levels, and you can do that in your gear screen when you bring it up. So here I am looking for scavs to kill because I know there are some that will spawn over here. I see one. You can see how when I'm aiming down sights, that SKS just takes up so much space on my screen. And you have just such a small reticle at the end of the gun in which to line up with. Now, he was so far away, I knew there was very little chance of me getting him, and me announcing my position without getting a kill, it's really not the great idea. Now, he stopped moving. It may be hard to tell in the video, but he stopped moving, so I took a shot, hoping that I could get him. Now, I don't believe I actually got him, so I'm repositioning, and I run into a scav. Now here, I am hip firing. You'll notice that I am just hip firing, and the secret to this is, and I hear another scav, and so now I'm like, okay, I'm in real trouble. So now I'm looking for him. He's up on the rocks, and now I'm going to aim down sights to try to get the better shot. So there I go. I have killed now 2 scavs. First thing, got to reload. Might be a third. Players might have heard me. Other scav players might have heard me, so I'm going to duck into this bush, and I'm going to listen, and I'm going to wait, and I'm going to see if somebody else shows up. Cautious play will save you 9 times out of 10. Rushing around like a madman, shooting everything that moves, is probably going to give you a guaranteed death. So, I've listened a little bit. I don't hear anything. I don't hear any sort of audible from scavs. But I'm not going back to that area right away. I'm going to try to come around the side, take a look, see what's going on. Do some more looking and peeking, because I still believe that there's another scav over there, because remember I took a shot at a scav, and then I ran into 2 scavs. So here, I'm just going to grab it. I do take a risk, and I do looting. Here I'm folding the stock so it will fit in the bag. A lot of guns will fold. Recommend you do that. And again, I'm just grabbing stuff that might eventually give me value. Not that these are horribly valuable, like that pom-pom hat, you know, maybe a couple of 1,000 rubles, but If I can extract with it, it's a couple of thousand rubles that I didn't have before. Here I am, I'm listening. I did a little bit of looting. I'm staying down on X. You'll notice that I had lain prone to do the looting. I definitely recommend that, getting that habit. You can do that by hitting X on the keyboard. At least that's the default keybind. Here I'm going to take a little bit more of a risk. I'm just going to stand up. I did manage to get an AK. So I'm going to drop the shotgun. But before I do, you'll notice I stripped an accessory off of it, because that accessory, a flashlight, is worth rubles. And it only takes up a single slot. So drop that, drop the shotgun, picked up the AK, doing finish searching, and then next thing I'm going to do is come over here and try to see if I've got anybody over here, maybe trying to flank me, and just taking a quick look, seeing what we've got, approaching, walking as slow as I can. If you hit the caps lock key, you can walk very slowly, and that will allow you to move around. Here, I've decided that the discretion is the better part of valor, and I am leaving. So I think that it's time for us to, take our money and run. So I'm going to come over here. There is a gas station here on my left, and I'm going to take a peek through these windows, or not windows, but cracks in the wall, to see if I see anything. There's a scav boss on customs that can spawn there, and if he does, he brings, I think, 4 guards with him, and they can be very geared, and they are very accurate, and they are very bad news. They will mess up your day 9 times out of 10. You will get a quest later to kill him. He has a golden TT pistol on him that you need to turn in, and his guards will have amazing loot. So here, I lucked out. I got a Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoins right now are worth 150k, so it definitely goes in the gamma. Now, I put those rubles in my secure, but, I then thought about it, and I was like, you know what? That's not a lot of money, and that ammo I just picked up is worth a lot more. And again, this comes down to knowing what things will sell for, just getting experience with the game. You will get it with time. Okay, so I've hit that stash. I need to get out of here. Although I am up for the raid, like that Bitcoin and the bullets and that scope. I mean, I am a rich player at this point, relatively speaking, right? I have more than made up the cost of my kit, and that Bitcoin alone will allow me to do several more raids, 3 to 4, depending upon the gear that I buy. And again, it just all builds up. And so it's about retaining as much rubles as you can, raid over raid. So here I'm coming along. There are some buildings on my right that are called dorms. There's 2 buildings, a 2-story and a 3-story. And they are a frequent location for players because there is some amazing loot in there. But it is usually a firefight, and I'm ill-prepared for a firefight. So I'm coming along here. There is a cache on my right, but I'm skipping it because I want to extract with what I've got. You are very vulnerable when you are looting. You don't see what's going on. It can be difficult to hear other things that are going around you. It takes precious seconds to back out of looting. So I decided at that point not to loot. I'm just pressing forward. I want to get to my extraction. I know it's on the other side of the map from where I spawned in. That's typically the way those maps go. You spawn in on one side of the map. You have to extract on the other side of the map. Here I am. I'm trying not to hit bushes. I do know that those, spindly bushes that don't have leaves don't actually make noise. So I rushed right through it because I knew that it would not make noise. Here, I'm checking the road. I take a brief run just for the risk. At this point, I'm risking the noise, but again, the dorms are on my right. It's a very unsafe area for being, and I'm going to come over here and take a look. So at this point, we're partway into the raid, so there's a real risk that I'm going to run into players from the other side of the map, players that spawned on the west side of the map. The area to my left is called construction. You can see it's just got basic framework up for several buildings. There's a couple of tasks that you have to do in there when you pick them up. So I'm 23 minutes in, or 23 minutes left of a raid that's about 35 minutes long. Each raid or each map has a different length. And so now I'm looking, and I hear a PMC. Now, I'm feeling, that maybe he's alone, and maybe I can get up on him and get a PMC kill, and I'm already flush with my secure container, so I'm willing now at this point to take a little bit more risk. So I'm going to try to sneak up on him. He's probably shooting at scavs. He might be shooting another player, but even so, if you can come in the middle of a duel and kill one of them, it's called third partying. then you know, then you might be able to get loot for both of them. So I heard him over here, probably just over the bank next to the road, and I'm listening. And so I've decided that he's probably over the bank, and he's probably going to want to, you know, move up over here to the right side where the wall is. Going along the wall is a fairly common maneuver in this area. I do hear a scav, so I know there's still a scav in the area. So now I'm thinking, okay, maybe the player didn't get the scav. Maybe he's still hunting the scav. So let me see what I can do. All right, I just heard the scav died. So now I'm moving over, and I ran. Now, that was probably a mistake, because I made a lot of noise when I ran. So now I've moved over, and I'm going to try to peek through the bushes and see if I can get him. But he heard me, or he saw me. So now I'm in trouble. He knows where I was. I do not know where he was. So first thing, I need to stop that bleeding, because bleeds are horrible. So I now know he was on my right, so I go left. And I'm going to take some cover around this rock, see what I can do. Now he's firing either an AK or some other automatic weapon. So I'm already at a disadvantage with this SKS. So this idea of mine is horrible. In fact, I think there might be two players, to be honest, because that gun sounded a little different. So I might have really bitten off more than I can chew here. So I'm checking the sides. I don't see anybody peeking over the hill. I come back around to this side, seeing if they're going to try to flank me from that side. But I know I'm in trouble. You can see that my vision is degraded. So now I bring up the AK and put it on full auto. And hoping to get him, but bang, there he was. He was flanking me on my left, and he got the shot. So again, you know, it's all about playing the game, learning, making mistakes, and learning from them. Anyway, so we got through, and it was a player, and so, but at least we extracted with the Bitcoin and the ammo, and we got a little bit of experience, and so we're well suited for our next raid. So once you finally do enough with the SKS and you get to level 5, the flea market opens up, and that gives you a lot more options. So let's talk about that next. Once you get access to the flea market, it gives you expanded options for purchasing weapons. So if we take a look at Trapper, he has a AKS 74U that requires basically 2 horse figurines. And the AKS 74U is a good entry-level automatic weapon. And when you buy it, it actually comes with BP ammo, which is very good ammo. So basically, what we're going to do is we're going to jump on the flea market. We're going to pick up 2 horses. They should be about 10k each. Here's one for 9,000. Here's another one for 9,000. Now I'm going to go back to Trapper. Sorry, dealers. Trapper. I'm going to trade him in. Okay, so now the AKS-74U does not come with a ordinary like a optical sight or red dot sight. It's just bare metal. And while it's definitely better than the SKS, I still personally prefer a red dot. So in order to get a red dot, you need to buy an adapter and then pick up a scope for it. So if you ever want to find the options for a gun, typically what you can do is you can right-click on it and then go to link search, and it will bring up the items that are linked to that gun. So we're going to look for mounts. And apparently I didn't do it very well, so let's go back and do the gun. And let's do a search on here, the cover. So on the desk cover is where you do the mount. So let me do a link search from the desk cover, and you can see it's a B18 mount. I'm just going to pick one up. It's about 3,000 rubles. We'll just sort of drop that on. Now that I have the mount, I can add a scope. You can see it shows up here. So let's go and let's get a link search for the scope. And here, sights. So you either want a PK06, which will run you 1570, or you can get a cheaper option. I believe the PLAD is slightly cheaper, and it gives you a slightly bigger picture. So I'm going to pick one up for 10K. Oh, somebody already bought that one. I'm going to pick one up for 12K. And I am going to take this, and I'm going to drop it on my gun. So now I've got a red dot on my gun. Now there are some other options that you could get, but basically from a basic loader perspective, so all told it was about 20K for the trades for the 2 horse figurines. It was another, 3 to 4K for the mount sight, the sight mount, and then another 10K or so for the red dot. You could run just plain AK, AKS-74U without it, but honestly, I think having a red dot will help with your aim. But again, pick what works for you. Regardless, though, as I mentioned, this thing comes with a with BP in the magazine, and BP will sell for quite a bit. So I'm actually going to unload the BP, and I'm going to sell it on the flea market. So let's filter by item. You can see that it's going for about 300 rubles per, and I have 30 bullets. So let's put these bullets up. Let's see, they're going for anywhere from 280 to 287. The 296 is Prapper. So right now I'm not able to buy BP with Prapper because I haven't unlocked it. That's why it says locked. And you have to actually get at loyalty level 3 in order to unlock it. So there are a couple of guys that are underselling at 280 and 287. What I could do is I could just wait and refresh to see if that sells, and it did. So I'm going to put mine at around 315. So I'm going to take my bullets. I'm going to make them for 315 each. I'm going to add that. It's going to cost me 400 rubles for posting it, but that's fine. And I'm going to let that go and do its thing. Now that I've sold those bullets, I need other bullets. And in fact, those bullets sold right away. So here we go. I just made 9,000 rubles, and I am going to go and now buy some bullets for my gun. So again, let's go here. I'm going to do a link search, and I'm going to go to ammo, and I'm going to open up rounds, and it's going to show me a whole bunch of rounds. Now, we sold BP, and there are better rounds than that. The 7N39 is the best round for the 5.45 by 39 millimeter. I'm actually going to pick up some PP because this is perfectly suitable for what I'm doing, and it's almost half the price of the BP, so I can get almost double the ammo of this that I got with the ammo that came with it. Okay, so I have gotten my rig on with a scav vest. I've got another small pack. I have a AKS-74U with 30 rounds of PP in the magazine. I've got another magazine full of PP in my rig. I have some spare PP in my secure container, and I have a helmet. I am ready to go in a raid. So let's jump in. Okay, I'm jumping back into customs. This time I've got the AKS-74U with a sight on it. I have spawned on the other side of the map near Big Red is what we call it. It's the customs clearance house. It's a warehouse. Inside of that is some loose loot, a couple of boxes you can loot. But the highlight is a office area upstairs. You do need a key to get into it, but if you do get the key, and keys will spawn on scavs, or you can buy them, then if you get inside, there is a safe in one of the offices, as well as 3 computers in another office. You will eventually have to go there because there are at least 2 tasks that require you to go into the office area and retrieve items. Anyway, so right now I'm looking for other players because I know that other players can spawn at the end of this road. I'm doing a little movement back and forth just to make it a little more difficult for those players to get a shot on me. I'm checking behind me. Just general paranoia will keep you safe. I'm avoiding Big Red because of that office and those computers, which can spawn graphics cards, although not very frequently. But if they do, they're worth a lot of money. And so they're typically hit by players that spawn in this area. I'm going to try to avoid it. So we're going to go into customs here, into the self-storage area. Again, looking for scavs. They will spawn over here, and so doing a little ducking and weaving. I'm going to hit one of the loot locations I know of inside this shed. There's a bag on the floor, Again, it can spawn, random items. In this case, I think it spawned some screws. I should have put those screws in my secure container, but I did not. That was an oversight. You'll also notice that I didn't have any meds on. And that's a huge oversight. Like coming into a raid without any meds to heal or bandage, huge mistake. Now I know there's a med bag in the back of this car, having run this map several times. And so it also spawns loose loot like that lunchbox. So I grab the lunchbox, I grab the meds, the bandage, I bandage 5, and I move on. So right now I'm looking for a scav that I can kill, maybe get an upgrade in armor or weapons, or just again help my general profitability on this run. Haven't heard any players, so I'm feeling that perhaps I've been lucky enough to spawn on this side by myself. Does not happen very often. This is typically a highly congested area, and you need to be careful. But I do see a scav now. Instead of me getting a shot downrange immediately, I did wait. That was probably unsafe. Didn't hurt me this time, but again, you really need to get shots down as quick as possible. You did notice that it was much easier for me to scope him with the red sight, which is why I use it when I'm using a gun. I think a sight just generally helps. I check to make sure there's nobody else around. Scavs are players. I'm quickly going to do some searching. Grab the items. I grab knife because it's worth money, same as I'm going to grab that headwear. The chocolate is definitely worth money, and that injector is also worth money. I bound it to 5 for now because it will help. 4 or 6. Actually, I can't really tell, but I bound it again because it's medical in nature, and it will help me manage my condition if I get hit. Now, I only grabbed a couple of magazines there because I didn't want to fill up. I'm not that great with a rifle, and I don't want to use up all my bag space with the ammo or my rig space, so just took 2. I'm just checking for other scavs, checking behind me, making sure nobody creeps up. I'm not running because I don't want to attract a lot of attention. I'm going to make my way over now to Big Red, see if I can see through the gap in the fence, either get some scavs or maybe an unwary PMC. I happen to run into pineapple juice, so I grab it for now. I'm still checking for activity. I'm going to just duck here into the corner for some relative safety while I use this up and free up some space in my rig. I don't like to be full with no slots and then have to deal with freeing up slots in order to pick up loose loot. So now, again, I'm searching. I'm looking. I haven't seen anything, so let's go take a look. And I should have really peeked this corner, and I didn't, and bam. It really hurt me. Now, luckily enough, he audibled before he started shooting, and that will happen about 7 times out of 10. So it allowed me to get the drop on him. You'll notice I hip-fired. I didn't use the sights because aiming down sights will take precious seconds. Here, I'm going to creep behind the bush. I'm expecting other scavs or perhaps players. The bush gives me a little bit of cover visibility-wise. Also, you'll note that I reloaded immediately so that I have a fresh mag, even though I probably only shot 4 or 5 times, and there should have been over 20. Now, as I look through the bush, I happen to see a scav creeping along left to right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let him get past. Now, unfortunately, I probably should have moved a little further right because he got up on the hill and turned around before I really had a chance to lay into him. Now, luckily, I was able to get a headshot, but again, not ideal. Here, I'm looking for more scavs and just making sure the area is clear. And, not seeing anything. Checking for players. Those are the stairs that go up to the office that I talked about. Checking behind me because sometimes players and scavs will creep up on you through the ditch. Just general paranoia will keep you alive. I think it's safe, so I'm going to come back and I'm going to do some looting. So I go prone because I want to be safe. Now I'm going to start going through the loot. Now, I know that I want to take that Sega and I want to drop the rifle. But before I drop the rifle, I want to make sure that I grab that scope, so I do. Then I notice that the guy's got a big backpack called a scav backpack and it has much more room than mine. So I'm going to take that backpack. So I drop everything. I put my drop my bag, put in that bag, and then I hear an audible. Now, luckily, he was looking in the wrong place, and a single shot was able to down him. Now, I should have been more cautious here, because right away I start getting shot by another scav, and he goes behind the rubble. The dark sort of flashing at the edge of my screen is letting me know that rounds are going by my head, as if the sound didn't help. Now I go full auto because I want to really try to down this guy fast. I replace the mag, even though that previous mag had some shots taken from it. It's fuller than the mag I've got now, but I go back on single shot because I really don't want to make a habit of being in full auto. All right, so that's pretty much where I'm going to end here with this gameplay and general strategy. That's it for this video. I hope that the tips and strategy that I talked about in this video help you as you work on leveling up in Tarkov. If you have different tips for new players, or you have questions that you'd like to ask about the game, feel free to drop a comment. I'd also appreciate a like or a dislike before you go. It helps me understand whether or not my content's relevant for people. And if you'd like to get notified of future videos, make sure you subscribe to my channel and turn on the bell notification. That's it. Thanks for watching.